What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Total Human Optimization Podcast. We're back. We've been away for a little bit, but we've got some great friends in town, and we're going to put on another show for you. We have Connor Moore here to my left, which you cannot see because we're recording audio only today.
What's up,
and
guys?
we have Sal, Justin, and Adam from Mind Pump Media. What's up, guys? Welcome.
Hey, man. What's going on?
Hey.
Welcome to Austin. First time?
Yes.
First time, man.
Yeah, first time for me.
Yep. Yeah, love it so far.
Very nice around here. It's kind of an interesting style of town.
Mm-hmm.
It's gorgeous. Cold.
What do you mean by that? Like the cowboy hats and shit?
No,
or
not that. Like when we were driving through, like the way the buildings look and the shops. And
it's like cowboys and hippies.
It's got a nice personality.
It tries to stay small, even though it's defeating that every day. But it tries to stay small.
Tons of people from the Bay Area, from where we're from, I think, moving over here.
Yeah.
I think we're bleeding people to Austin.
I get I feel like everybody looks tough to me.
What do you mean?
Everybody looks tough.
Well, yeah,
Really?
because he played
even like the old.
I think it's where we are, though. We're around a bunch of MMA guys.
Not even just
be on it, man.
Not even I'm not talking about in here. I mean, just like when we got off the airport and the guys that were on the plane, even like the old dudes, everybody just has this tough, gritty look to them. You know, like they just should be walking around with chew in their mouth.
Yeah, it's Texas, man.
Like, I got a gun.
Yeah, that's what everybody looks like to me. But super polite though. Everybody really polite. They got the mean look on their face and they look tough, but then they're like super polite.
We literally met like nobody, like one person.
We arrived at night.
It was super tough.
Yeah, wait till you try the food. This is the capital of food as far as I'm concerned now.
So when
you have to tell me
here.
recommendations.
Yo, we don't need any more, bro. When we announced that we're coming here on our private forum, literally we have at least like 70 locations that we're supposed to go check out.
It's got to be at least 75% tacos.
We'll have to stay here.
It's like you got to eat tacos.
That and the
barbecue.
the barbecue. Right? All these barbecue spots that everybody keeps telling us we have to do. And then actually they said you guys are known for like your coffee, like some of the coffee around here,
Some
right?
great coffee around here.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
A lot of local roasters.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Very
We
cool.
are big into coffee.
You guys fuck with the
tacos,
nitro
barbecue.
coffee.
Yes, we did. We just got our nitro brew coffee inside of our location. So because none of us know how to do any of that stuff, we hired a consultant to come in and do that. When we get back, will be the first time we actually get to try it out. So pretty excited for that.
Delicious stuff.
Yeah, boys over at Caveman do the canned nitro, and it'll fire you up, man.
Love Tate Fletcher too. That guy's
he's awesome, man.
I imagine you guys have had him over here a few times.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. The dreadlocks and the beard really just cap it off.
I just started watching.
He's a buff pirate that
show.
you don't want to fuck with.
What's the one you turned me on to?
Westworld.
Yeah.
I watched the finale last night.
Don't
Talk about the goddamn finale.
I'm behind.
Right?
Not saying
I'm on episode
Where are they going to go from
9.
here?
Well,
Everywhere.
Oh my God.
They just left it. It says, "Hey, this is just the beginning."
Oh yeah, no
It's true.
spoilers.
Westworld season 1 was they're playing just the tip with you. But we got you for 10 years.
It's my new crack.
Where are you guys at?
Westworld.
San Jose.
No. Where's the? We got
my bad.
Westworld.
I'm done, man.
I haven't watched
Season
it.
finale.
Oh, I'm only on episode 3, so don't
these
mess
guys
it
are
up.
lagging.
For
Don't
me.
even-
I'm way behind.
But that's just okay. So I'm on episode 9. I won't ruin anything for you. But doesn't that shit freak you out a little bit? I mean, doesn't it make you think for a second? Holy shit! What if we're somebody else's experiment? What if like we're fake and this whole thing's just a freaking?
Don't get him
You're
started.
talking my
Don't.
language, man.
The hairs on the back of his neck just
Everything's
rose
pretty-
a little bit.
According to this guy, we're in a computer system every day. That's what we're waking up to.
We're all jacked into the
Hey,
Matrix.
If you
Oh,
do
God.
if you look at the odds, if you
We're
actually
not even on
look at
drugs.
the
We're getting
odds
into this,
and you do the
We've only been
numbers,
talking for 2 minutes.
the
Here we
odds
go.
are that we're not real, like quote unquote, or what we would consider life. The odds are that we are created. We're some kind of simulation and self-aware, and we would have there'd be no way of knowing. But those are the odds.
It's slightly comforting though, because that makes all your mistakes and everything you do wrong in life, and even
Program.
You
death,
can blame it on the
it's like,
programmer.
it wasn't my fault. You know?
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that with my girl the next time I fuck up. I was programmed this way. It's not my fault.
Hey, watch Westworld.
It's written
kid.
in my code, man.
I was supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Or you die and you
I
wake up.
swear,
and
honey,
some,
I didn't want
some,
to.
Like pimple-faced, like 13-year-old
Yeah.
at a computer. Like, oh shit, it was a game.
It's all a game. Yeah, well, that's,
damn it.
Alan Watts talks about that too. He's like, if you could dream for 85 years, right? At first, you would probably make it really, really easy for yourself, and you have all the things you ever wanted, and you would end up in this like heavenly type situation. But eventually, then you throw in some challenges and make it a little bit more of a game, and then you might get to the point where you're like, maybe I should just forget that I'm dreaming. And that intrigues me more than the idea that it's a technological kind of facade.
Well, what's weird is when when scientists really get down to the nitty gritty and really look at things on a quantum level, things start to look like a program. I mean, when they measure things to their absolute smallest measurement, like Planck length, it's the same no matter what. You can't break things up into smaller pieces. Or you look at cosmic rays and how they travel on a lattice. Like it all looks like a computer program.
Yeah.
Math. Why is math even explain the universe?
Yeah, but I feel like that's what it
isn't-
looks like, and so that's how we've got the inspiration for building
Right.
computers and building all
Exactly.
those things was because of how
that
complex and
existed,
unique we
and
are,
that
and so
created the program of
not the
We're
other
on,
way
we're
around.
on a point. We're on a path now with technology. Eventually, we're going to be the creators.
Thank you.
And it's going to get fucking weird.
No,
And
that's
maybe-
scary.
But that's
It
one
is
thing
gonna
too
get
that you
weird.
have to consider is that we're just a point within the whole flow of existence and of life, right? So we're kind of engineered to be narcissistic and think about ourselves, but we're really not that important. We're just a point within this complete flow of consciousness, and so that may change and shift into some other type of consciousness, but that's just evolution. That's evolution extrapolated.
You know what I find though when we talk like that, because I've had those thoughts also. When I talk like that and I hear people talk that way about us being not important in a flow of consciousness, it's almost like our ego is trying to make us feel important by saying we're not. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah.
no, we're not important, but we're this like part of consciousness that's massive. And it's like, okay, so it's one of these things we got to battle, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to fight your ego trying to make you feel so important, and we're so smart that we
Yeah.
try to make us feel like we're not, and through doing that, then we feel like we are.
Well,
It's like this never-ending.
What trips me out is
Exactly.
we're heading on down a road where soon a computer will be able to make a smarter computer, and when that happens, that to me is that's crazy to think that because
It
it'll
can
just
self-improve.
yes,
Is
exactly.
that what they call it? The technological singularity.
singularity.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I said like the odds are we're probably computer programs, because there will be a point where we're going to create self-aware computer programs who then can create their own. And so who knows how many layers deep we are.
Yeah.
We could be created from computer programs, which were created from computer programs. Who knows?
Jesus
Blows
Christ.
your fucking mind.
Oh, by the way, we're talking fitness today.
I'm not your
We
average
just had some
meatheads,
alpha
guys.
brains. So.
That's how we'll just start that off. I think I
What'd you guys
feel
have
like
for
Sal
breakfast?
always has to put that out there just so to make that clear, because when people first see us, they see these kind of meathead looking dudes, and so he's always got to come up with some nerdy science talk right out the gates just to make to make sure you guys
Just
know.
slide some consciousness in just to let people, just to confuse people and create some intrigue.
Dropped a barbell on my head and they came up.
No, but it all makes sense. I mean, because in the future, if we get to the point where we're creating life, I mean, we may not have to do freaking bench presses and deadlifts anymore. We might be able to just freaking
Create the muscle on you, right?
make some kind of update
Yeah.
to my shitty system.
We'll
It'll
be
be-
banging robots.
What is that? Like the
Yeah.
post-organic or post-human era.
Yeah.
Where and now here's the question, right? At what point are you not human? You know what I'm saying? Like how much of your brain has to be a machine before you're no longer human? You know, and if you transfer your consciousness, are you just making a copy of yourself, or is that really you? You know, these are all questions.
See, in some ways, I think that we already are machines because we operate the machines. So humans are gonna get to a point where they're freaking stupid doing anything manual labor. And because, I mean, think about it. I mean, we do everything with a computer now.
Oh, we don't have to
Everything.
work to get
We don't,
information anymore.
we don't have to do
Yeah, we
anything.
don't exercise
physical.
that
you know
anymore.
what?
So based off of that theory, then if you now with these robots that they're creating now, and of course the porn industry is like one of the ones.
I was
that
just
are
gonna say this.
so then based off of that,
That's the only thing that
I
matters.
can't fuck the robot and get away with it without it being technically cheating then because
Man, at what point is a robot conscious? I didn't know. I didn't really disclose that to my chick.
I don't want them too conscious.
these are the important topics I want to talk about.
Yeah, because before we get to the really smart stuff, we're gonna have robot fuck dolls.
Yeah.
I think that's
absolutely.
what we're gonna stop.
Yeah, and then one of them's gonna start having feelings, and you're like, "Oh shit, this has just got real."
Yeah, it's too real, man.
She's blowing you up.
That, right? You got to break up with
Liking
your
all your
robot.
photos on Instagram.
Listen, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, man. I mean, I fell in love with that blonde girl in Westworld. I'm not going to say the name just in case I don't know where you're at.
Yeah.
So,
I don't
you
think
know
you
what I'm
are.
talking
The
about.
main
but-
character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's that point where something happens. You're like, oh, wait.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Dude,
You feel for her.
Yeah,
people
that's
are
right.
already buying. Have you guys seen those? What do they call them? Real dolls or whatever? Have you seen these?
Oh, those have been around for decades.
These are, but they look like they're creepy. If you, I mean, you look at them,
Yeah,
they're
they're
creepy.
creepy.
But people already fuck them.
Yeah.
It's all about the guy that cleans them, right? That's his
But
whole
the thing
job.
about it is, let's go. If we just
Like
take
horrible.
it back, and we can go like an evolutionary route here. People have been sticking their dicks in things for a long time. Like what is like warm and slippery. It's like someone's done it.
We tried
It's
it
gone
out.
down. Cavemen were like, this is not.
We were all 16 at one
What's
time.
this machine?
we were all 16
So it's
at one
like
time.
it's like in the whole scheme of things, like the fuck doll isn't that weird.
No, it's just a better
Yeah.
apple pie or whatever.
Exactly right.
I'm pretty sure there was a good year to 2 years of my life growing up as an adolescent where that's all you talk about with your buddies. Like, what? You haven't tried that? Oh my god,
haven't
bro,
stuck
yeah,
your
for
dick in
sure,
that?
try that. Yeah, you smash the mattress between the other one, and then you get like down comforter. Oh, bro, just wait.
You have a perfect like recipe for like, this is my Saturday night.
And then people think the sex doll is weird. That's what it's made for. You're not supposed to be fucking your futon.
You're not even in prison. You're making a fifi.
Oh man,
where's this podcast going?
I don't know. So how can we use that to better ourselves? Where do you go from there? So I already get a grasp on you guys. This is the first time I met you guys, but I saw on your site you call yourselves the Howard Stern of meets fitness.
Actually, people called us that.
Yeah, we didn't coin ourselves.
Yeah, I wouldn't make that audacious claim.
He's the king, right? But people said that about us, and because we do a lot of bullshitting, we talk, we don't really pretty uncensored, and then we talk about fitness. So I don't know. Call us what.
Well, and I really it was by accident too. It wasn't like, I mean, when we first got into podcasting, we just saw that we saw this market growing. We knew we had a message that we wanted to get out there, and we knew too that we didn't want to be censored. And so, there's very few platforms or situations you can do where you can get out to the masses like that without being filtered. I mean, and you even see what's happening with YouTube now, where they're going to start filtering that, where swearing, and if there's anything violence on there, they're going to start pulling it. So, I feel like podcasting allows us to be able to give our message out there and give it in the way that we want to give it, which I feel is a little bit of entertainment, and there's no direction. Like, I really feel like when we light the mics up, it's like we always have something to say as far as health and fitness. We've been doing it Sal's been doing it for 20 years. I've been doing it for 16, Justin 15. So we've been doing this for a really long time, and we've all kind of been through it, trained thousands of people. So got a lot of stuff to talk about. And we just try and find a lighthearted approach of doing that. It just kind of naturally happened for us.
Yeah, well, it's like, we're trying to keep everything as real as we possibly can. I feel like, for the most part, people that swear, I tend to trust more. I don't know what it is, but it's like people that like withhold this kind of like reserved way of talking. I feel like it's too calculated, and I can't really like get deeper with that person. And so for me, I've never been offended by swearing and kind of let my hair down, but
I think there's a right balance, though.
There's a good balance. You don't want to just come out with it like and bombard people.
We were a little out of balance when we first started. We'll admit that.
We came out of the gates just
why do you think
everything.
Donald Trump's our next president, dude? Because he said whatever the fuck he wanted to say.
This is true. This is very true.
And, even the other guys that were like robots.
I still don't trust that guy.
That's a good point, because it looks like we're in the era of, I think we've been inundated with so much fakeness through marketing and the big media machine for so long that and then the internet came out, and now we're getting YouTube videos, and people are posting things about themselves, and people are being quote unquote real. I think people now they have a bullshit meter, and they want things to be as real as possible. Or they like to see no buffers between you and them. So you have celebrities now with their own Instagrams posting about what they had for breakfast and what's going on, and like you said, Donald Trump just saying what's on his mind. Even if what he says is that even what's on his mind may be crazy, people are like, yeah, we like that he says what's on his mind, Yeah. And so I think, it's probably the right time for a podcast like ours where we just kind of say what
let's be honest. In the fitness industry is the worst.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. I mean, and it's been that way.
Smoke and mirrors.
It's been that way for a long time. I mean, it
was horrible.
We idolize these people on covers of magazine, and at first when we first started doing this, those people were just people on the magazine. But when I started getting into competing, and I started meeting these people that were on the covers of these magazines and listening to the stuff that they were talking about, I was like, oh shit, like. These are the people that people idolize. They want to look at. They want to be just like them. They're listening to all the information they're giving, and these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, we have a huge problem in this industry, and somebody needs to say something, because otherwise we're heading down an awful, awful path with health and fitness.
Well,
and it's been this way for a while.
I was that kid, man. I was the 14-year-old kid. I was skinny. I wanted to build muscle, so I bought the bodybuilding magazines. I'd open them up, and half of it was advertisements for bullshit. And you'd see I don't know if you guys remember Cybergenics ads or whatever, and they'd have the before and after, and it'd be like 15 bottles of different pills. And the guy was obviously an off-season bodybuilder in the before picture.
Exactly.
And then, they switched the before and after, right? They got the dude after the contest. They said, we want you to get fat, and we'll make that the before picture. I didn't know any better. I'm a 14-year-old kid, and I'm like, wow, look at this fat dude get super shredded and yacked.
I'm definitely buying hydroxycut now.
And so I'd spend all my money on this shit, and I'd take it, and I would end up with like diarrhea and nothing else, like no gains or anything.
You'll lose weight.
I kept falling for it. And I kept doing it over and over again. And then I got in the industry, started working, and a lot of the information that I would preach was a lot of this bullshit that I thought was true. But then as I got older and really started learning what, seeing what was happening with my clients and what really worked, and little by little, I realized, like, holy cow, like most of it is bullshit.
Well, I think
it's not an industry of health.
That's
at
why
all. It's a cosmetic industry.
Yeah.
Our message resonates, I think, so well with people because we really do humanize ourselves by sharing that. Man, I was doing all that
got
shit
sucked
too.
into it.
I was taking 6 hydroxycut pills. I was taking 2 speed stacks a day. I was taking 4 protein bars, a protein shake, like just consuming all this shit because I wanted to look like that, or I had to do that to make sure I hit all my macronutrient targets for the day. And we were so focused on that being the priority of health and fitness. In reality, those are some of the things that cause like the autoimmune issues that I have, like with psoriasis, and none of this stuff started happening until we get in our 30s.
Yeah.
Now we look back and I'm like, shit, dude, what this message that we were giving for so many years, but we shared that with people. Like we let people know that, like, man, the reason why we're so passionate about what we're sharing and talking about, because, man, I went through it. I was sold too. And I'm a fitness guy. Like, I went through the school and I went through all the experience. I was teaching people. And man, I don't know how many people I sent on the wrong track because that's what I truly believe this was the right message.
One of the biggest paradigm shifts for me was when I realized that the whole eat, every 2 hours, eat small meals all the time. When I realized that was based on nothing, there was no science supporting that, and that it was probably created by companies that wanted you to take their supplements because, if you're eating 6 meals a day, there's a good chance that 2 or 3 of them are going to be some kind of processed packaged bar or powder. When I realized that, man, then I started questioning everything because that was such a staple belief. Like, that was the first thing that I preached.
Shit,
You got to eat your casein right before bed.
I get that all the time.
Yes.
They created a market for themselves. They did a great job.
Oh, look at the company. I don't know how
doing
familiar
good, but
I
they're
used to
making
preach
money.
it, man. I used to take my clients, and this is literally what I'd say to them. I'd say, if you don't feed your body every 2 or 3 hours, your body thinks it's starving and will hold
gonna
on
eat
to
its
more
muscle.
calories than you eat. I used to preach that like crazy, and then when I started realizing that that's completely based in bullshit, and in fact, eating too frequently may actually be pro-inflammatory, and fasting and going without food for long periods of time, that's actually good for you. Are you kidding me?
Every single time I've tried to put on muscle and use that formula by eating so fucking much every 2-3 hours, I get sick as hell. I feel terrible.
It's just inconvenient.
My sleep
too.
sucks. My shit sucks. Everything sucks, man.
Well, think about
That's not how we evolved. Think about
It doesn't make any sense.
When you think of it, when you look at it from an evolutionary, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's no one formula for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's different.
And that's another big one, is that there's a
Right.
massive individual variance between people. You have your general truths, but as a personal trainer, I've been training people professionally for over 20 years, and through training all these people, thousands of people, and I train trainers too, and their clients, I realized, like, there's certain general truths, but my God, you could have such a difference from person to person. I'd have a client who just thrived on eating a vegan diet. And then I'd have a client that was like a carnivore that would just thrive off eating that way. So different, 2 completely different, responses to two different diets, but they're both, working their best and feeling the most healthy eating that way. And, it's funny because you don't apply that to yourself until much later. For some reason, I thought I was different. Like, no, I eat 6 meals a day, and I need to eat this way because that's what the bodybuilders say. And then I started saying to myself, hold on a second. Look how I train my clients, and look what works for them. Maybe I should apply that to myself. And then lights came on.
So whenever what kind of like nutrition approach do you guys endorse now as your starting place?
So the general truths, right? The general truths that I think we preach a lot are the ultimate goal with nutrition, your ultimate goal, and many people will not get here. So I want to be clear. This is the goal, but it's hard to get to. It takes a long time to get here, and you may never get to this point. The ultimate goal is intuitive eating. Really listening and understanding your body.
intuitive eating and intuitive training. That's what we talk
knowing
about.
There's
all
steps
the-
to get you there, and we kind of have like a few steps that we list off.
There's a lot of steps to get.
Yeah, but
to that
explain
point.
what intuitive eating means. I mean, some
Intuitive
people
eating,
hear
like,
that.
I understand the signals my body tells me. I know when I should fast. I know when it's time to eat more fats, more vegetables. Maybe I need some meats. Sometimes I need no meats, and I'll eat vegan during the day. I understand the signals my body's telling me. I understand my energy, my mood, my skin, my hair, my poop. All these different signals. I'm so integrated into them now that it's intuitive in the sense that it's not something I think about. Like it's like I don't think about breathing, right?
Yeah.
That's the step. That's where you want to be with your food, where It's not so planned out where I say to myself, like, I need to eat, 100 grams of protein today. I just do because I feel like I should, and it becomes it becomes easy to eat healthy.
We also talk about that being it takes a while before you get to that, and I'm glad you asked that question because so many people tie it. Like we share about all diets. Like we get into veganism, we all ketogenic. And I remember when we first started talking about ketogenic. And all the health benefits behind it and how much it really shattered all of our paradigms. It changed my relationship with carbohydrates and fats because my entire training career, I used to tell clients, like, just avoid fat. Like, fat's in everything. A chicken breast has 1 gram of fat for every ounce. It's like, you don't need to get fat. Like,
everything has to be lean.
Why put butter or oil in anything? That's stay away from it. Like, so it's so easy to get fat. Like, I used to tell people that. So I ate that way forever. So when I switched over to a ketogenic diet, which is the complete opposite philosophy, it just changed my entire mind about how fats work and how it made my body feel. I saw the difference in my skin, my energy, my sleep. Like, it was amazing. But that being said, we also don't tell people that ketogenic is for everybody. It's like, we recommend that people go through things like that. So then then we tell them, like what Sal was saying, is learning how to connect the dots, like learning how to pay attention to the signs. Everybody does. You know what most people look at? The sign is in front of the mirror.
All they look at is the
all
weight.
they look at the mirror or the scale.
Yeah,
the scale and the mirror, which we say those are the two like worst indicators because those two things can be unbelievably deceiving of what's really going on inside of you.
You look awesome when you're dehydrated.
Yeah, right.
You wake up hungover, and you got like 3 hours of sleep. You're looking shredded.
A perfect example. I mean, when I get on stage, and when we're 2% body fat and you're up there, I mean, we're walking dead men. I'm so unhealthy when I'm up on stage, but yet this is what people are aspiring to be like. But if you ever look at one of us really close, like our skin, our eyes look all sunken. I mean, we look horrible. I look terrible.
See, that's why I don't understand that. And then the part with the UFC fighters doing the weight cuts and stuff. I mean, that's not healthy. There's no way.
No, and it's not meant.
Why do they have to do that?
And that's the thing you got to understand as a consumer is it's not meant to be healthy. Although those images are used to sell us on products or
but there's people out there that see those fighters and they say, "Ooh, I want to look like that." Well, I got to go put myself through a UFC style weight cut.
No.
Yeah.
There's a difference between fitness and performance that people need to understand. If my goal is to perform maximally at one specific thing, whether it be fighting or football or basketball or swimming, then by nature, because of the extreme nature of that performance, I'm going to create muscle imbalances, injuries.
You're going to make compromises.
I'm not going to be healthy for longevity. In fact, when they study people around the world, or they study the world's blue zones, these are places where there's disproportionate amount of people that live past 100. You find moderation all over the place. You don't find any extreme anything. There's no extreme performance. Nobody's doing crazy feats of strength or endurance. They are just, they live for longevity. So you have to understand that there's a difference between maximum performance and real total healthy fitness. And what do you want to do? What's the goal of your life? If your goal is to perform maximally, that's fine, but you're not going to stay that way. It's impossible. There's no way. That's why when you're you play a sport, there's a season. You know what I mean? Could you imagine if football was all the time?
Oh, everybody would die.
Well, we just talked recently in an episode about, are you really fit? And, we were talking about professional athletes, and, we idolize them too. You look at a professional athlete, like, man, they're so fit. But really, they're doing these repetitive movements over and over at super high intensity to perform at their sport at the highest level. They're really not as healthy as everybody thinks they are. So I think that's a lot of our message too, is learning how to meld, performance with health and wellness. Right now, there's this huge division. You're either I feel like you're either super hippie and you're all into health and wellness and all natural and whole food, everything, and then you have like the, super like performance where take whatever it takes to get there, anabolic steroids, whatever supplement it takes to get there, do beast mode, do whatever it takes to get there. And we're trying to meld the two because they really belong together, but it's tough, man. It's tough because people don't see it that way.
Doesn't a lot of it come down to understanding values? I mean, when I was in the fitness industry, it was the biggest thing. And when you're running with a lot of people, as I saw this tendency for coaches and trainers to have a step-by-step process that they kind of force on everybody, right? And they're really just like slamming square pegs in round holes all the time. But it's understanding, well, what's that person's game, right? If the game that they want to play at a high level is like chasing their kids around until they're 60, or their grandkids too. It's like there's an approach to doing that. There's an approach to doing that type of life versus if you want to go perform in some sport, right? Because when you want to perform, you're putting health, like you said, like you're putting health in the back seat for sure, knowingly, because for whatever reason you value that, whether you value competition or you value style of training. But you need to take the time to understand within yourself or within the people that you're training what they truly value, and not by what they say, because they're never going to fucking tell you it's by what their actions are, where their energy, time, and money go. Look at that. Say, okay, this person X, Y, and Z is really important to this person. Now I need to work backwards from those values, and there's a plan for success and longevity.
That's a great point.
They're naturally gonna do the things that align with those values anyways, because that's what they're doing already. So throw some things in there that make sense based on those.
Whatever they're going to be able to do consistently. And I mean,
exactly.
If we could all prioritize frequency in the gym and frequency doing these movements and exercising, I think we'd all be better off instead of like, I think intensity, a lot of times that metric, it gets overhyped and everybody tends to gravitate towards that because it's the sexy part. So another thing that we do is we try to kind of pull back a little bit and kind of step back and assess, like, how are we getting marketed? Like, is it all just these super high intensity type workouts? Is it these super athletes that are doing like crazy shit?
Extreme diets.
We're all sucked into, on Instagram and all these different posts, who's doing the craziest shit. And, really, like, if we can kind of step back and see what's going to benefit the most, those are great and they're entertaining, but that's not going to benefit you the most.
Yeah, the one thing, like, because you see a lot of fitness personalities on Instagram or social media who have never trained lots of people. They're just themselves, very fit, very ripped. Their values are high performance. Their values are extreme, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to be clear. If your goal is super high performance, if that's what makes you happy, that's awesome. You got to go for it, do it. You got to do what makes you happy. But the vast majority of people, number one, don't have the genes to compete at ridiculously high levels. So understand that. And number two, most people's values, like you said, aren't to do that. So when we're doing our podcast, when we're talking to people in fitness, most people just want to, in reality, what do they want? They want to feel good. They want to feel healthy. They want to look better. They want to have good sex. They want to sleep good. They want to enjoy their work and their life and enjoy their children. And so we try to communicate to them, how you get there. And if you're that person and those are the things you value, but you think you want to be that performance person, you're going to go to the gym and hammer yourself, beat the crap out of yourself, but then you also work, 12 hours a day, you go home, your kids are crying, and you don't get good sleep or whatever. Like, you're going down a path of destruction. You're not going to get what fitness really has to offer, which is, we want fitness to be the answer, not the problem. That's one of the things we identified early on when we first, started talking about starting a podcast and talking about fitness, was how fitness had stopped becoming the answer to a lot of the problems. I mean, we have an obesity epidemic, right? Diabetes epidemic. You have autoimmune epidemic people aren't talking about right now. Got all these health issues going on. And rather than being the solution, fitness and wellness and health, that industry is part of the problem. When you open the magazine, you see the airbrushed models, you see the the steroided out athletes, you see the supplements that don't really do anything for you, or the ones that are dangerous. You see people promoting and advocating super intense workouts because that's what's sexy and looks cool, and it's not solving a lot of the problems that people are having. And I think the message, we need to communicate the message better.
It's speaking to a very small population. And I know Connor knows, he was a trainer. We've all been trainers for a very long time. Like, a majority of people are not that. They're not that super athlete. They're not trained. And then that sets them up for failure, because then what they end up doing is they bust their ass like that because their idol is doing all these crazy workouts, taking all these crazy supplements and all these extreme things. Look at that. And they make this attempt to go that way. And then they realize, fuck, I can't do this.
Yeah, can I keep this up?
And so then it just breaks them. They get discouraged and they give up, and it's like, I'm never going to be that way. So I guess I'm going to be fat and out of shape and unhealthy the rest of my life, and they give up. Or they just keep going in these vicious cycles where they're off the wagon or on the wagon, which we talk a lot about too, where
there's no wagon.
There's no wagon.
It's like,
let's eliminate the
there
wagon.
isn't. There's not a wagon. There
is no spoon.
It's this lifelong journey that we're all on, in a sense, together, and we're all trying to figure out what is best for us. And I mean, shit, for as long as we've been doing it, I still, man, every day I'm learning something something new about myself. Like, and I think that, getting that message out there and letting people know that it's a lifelong journey, and it's small baby steps along the way. It's not a 30 to 60, 90 day program to get you shredded. That's not what it's supposed to be like, which is really funny too, because we were like, I feel like the first ones that really came out and said like, this is going to take you a long time. Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to buy our program. You're not going to buy our stuff and look ripped in 60 days. That's not going to happen. Like, we expect a year, expect 2 years, depending on how bad you've been hammering your body or how far off you are, it's going to take some time, and be okay with that and enjoy the process along the way. It's not about
true. One of our most popular programs that we sell is 9 months.
Yeah.
It's 9 months of exercise programming. Like, what fitness personality?
You sell a lot of this?
Yeah.
We sell that's our most popular program.
Yeah.
But we're being totally
It took
honest.
a while to sell.
Well, that's the value, right? Is like, it's always underestimated how much value is in just being authentic, right? Because we get the way that media is distributed to us is chaos. It's fucking everything, whether it be magazines, Instagram, and you're really just looking at outliers that are airbrushed and photoshopped. And that's one thing, but there's these certain people in the world. Joe Rogan, we talked about him earlier. Joe cuts through the bullshit. He brings people on like, okay, there's all this bullshit. Let's just like put a cheat code in and go to the other side of that. Like, what's the real shit here? What are we talking about?
Right. Yeah.
And there's a value in that when you put yourself out there in that way, and then people say, okay, these guys, I'm pretty confident these guys aren't full of shit, so I'm going to get by their 9-month program because they obviously know something. They have something going on.
When I first started training people, I was 18 years old when I first became a trainer, and for a while there, I would have these what I used to call come to Jesus talks with my clients.
Exactly.
So like my client would come in, we'd be okay. Here's your food intake. Let's look at your food intake. Let's do your workouts. Your goal is to lose 30 pounds or whatever. 2 months later, you're not losing weight. We need to have a come to Jesus talk because you're not eating the way you're supposed to. And I'd hammer them.
They're like, do I have to kneel?
And I'd hammer and I'd beat them up over it, and they would end up leaving. And my mentality was like, well, they weren't serious. They told me what they wanted to do, and they weren't serious.
They were weak-minded.
And much later on, I figured out like I wasn't helping anybody. You know what I mean? Later on, years later, I opened up a wellness facility, and my mentality changed with how I train people. And then I had this ridiculous retention rate. Like clients would stay for 10, 12 years. And some clients, they definitely would get stronger in the gym. They definitely get better fitness. But sometimes they didn't lose weight for like 3 years because it took them that long to identify their poor relationship with food. It took them that long to really start to. But that entire time, they're still working out. They're still in the gym. They're still slowly progressing. And then finally something snapped and they got it. And now I've made real changes, like lifelong changes that will stick with that person forever. And what I had done before was so ineffective. That whole like, I need to, you got to do what I tell you. And if it's like that boot camp approach, that was even popular for a while.
Oh yeah, no, I ran camps.
Love that stuff.
Yeah, I ran camps all over the Bay Area, and that was something I did too. I think the longer you're in it, right, and the more people you start to see, you just realize it's this lifelong journey of continually to try and strive to improve yourself, and this mentality of quick fixes, and this is going to change that. Like, it's so unhealthy for those people, and you really are setting up for failure because, God, I mean, anybody who's been a trainer for a long time knows that really it's a very small percentage of your people that actually do change and stick through it. If anybody, even the ones that are successful, a lot of them, it was just for a wedding or it was for, Las Vegas or, they had something.
Spring break.
Yeah, and exactly. They get in shape for this one thing and then they fall right off, and it's one extreme to the other extreme, and it's like, that's really not what it's about. It's about learning about your body and then finding what works well for you. And so, we speak to that a lot, and it's, I think that's probably something that we pride ourselves the most on is like, if you go and you listen to like, we get a lot of reviews on our website and in our forum, and people talk about that we changed their relationship with food and exercise. Like, that to us means so much more than someone saying, look how shredded I am because I followed the MAPS program. It's more like, man, I've been listening to Mind Pump for a year now, and it has completely altered, how I perceive myself, how I look at myself, how I look at food, how I look at exercise. And that's what it's all about. It's trying to help people make that connection to what it's really all about,
See, that's one thing I looked at a lot whenever I was training. I trained a lot of athletes, and I really just resonated more with your everyday people. And I've realized the difference was with athletes or anybody who wanted to compete or anybody who wanted to be super ripped or jacked, right? Like that was a goal, but it was really what you were doing for them was helping them get where they expected to be, where they thought they should be for whatever reason that is. And when people will walk in the gym a little bit intimidated, a little bit scared. Like I knew with that person, if I spent the time and took an appropriate approach, I was going to help them become capable of things they didn't realize they were capable of. And that's a big shift, right? When you see like a 45-year-old soccer mom do her first strict pull up and she like starts crying, like that's cool, you know, and she's changing her relationship with food, and that's going down to her kids. Like the effects of that bleed into so many different things.
That's real life changing. You know,
exactly.
I will never forget, man. I trained a lady. She was 82 or 83 years old. You know, advanced age, poor mobility. You know, had never really exercised. She came to her daughter actually hired me to train her because she had some issues getting around the house and stuff like that. And she didn't want to be dependent on people taking care of her. After about 6 or 7 months or something like that of training, I'm in my facility and I'm training another client. In walks in my 83-year-old client. She opens the door and she's waiting for me patiently, very sweet lady. So I go over to her and, you know, hey, you know, you don't have an appointment today. Did you maybe think you? And she goes, no. She goes, I just came in to tell you that I went shopping next door at the grocery store and I bought my groceries and I put my groceries in my car and I closed my trunk all by myself. And she was so proud that she was able to reach up above her head because she had lost that mobility. She had lost the ability to reach up above her head. She was able to reach up, grab the trunk, pull it down and close it by herself. And she had tears in her eyes. And I got emotional.
A little thing, but a huge
get emotional
thing.
even talking about it. But that's the kind of stuff that really, that's what fitness really is all about. It's what does that mean for you? I mean, it's great when you hit a new PR. It's great when you lose lots of weight. But what does that mean?
Problem with that
really
is
mean?
it's so hard when you're talking to somebody who's 24 years old and they haven't dealt with that yet. You know, so that's the challenge.
Yeah, you got to reach a tipping point and start losing some
the
gains.
challenge for us is, you know, sure, when you get that, you know, someone at an advanced age like that and you change their life just because they can.
It's perspective. Their perspective is different because they've lost.
They think they're invincible right now. Because I remember that feeling.
Yeah, it's a good feeling though.
I remember that feeling. I remember thinking like, it'll never happen to me. I know what I'm doing.
But see, then I've had clients who are like that in their 20s, kids who come to me who are like, I want to get shredded, or you know, the girl who's like, I want to lose all this weight and I want to look hot or whatever. And then, you know, we're training for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they come to me and say like, you know what, Sal, like for the first time ever, and you got to understand this, especially the, you know, kids in their 20s or late teens. When they're coming to the gym and they're super dedicated, they want to work out, a lot of times it's rooted in the fact that they don't like themselves. They don't like the way they look. If it's a girl, many times they feel insecure about their body. If it's a guy, you know, maybe he feels skinny or doesn't like to take his shirt off at the pool or whatever. They're not going to say that to you many times, but that's a lot of the driving force. And then, you know, after you're training them for a year and they come to me, they come to me and they say, you know, for the first time, like I feel comfortable in my skin. Like I really love who I am. And that, for them, maybe it's not the mobility issue, but that's the life-changing. And I don't necessarily seek out to make that happen. It's just the way I approached my training had changed quite a bit to where that would happen kind of naturally. And that's just, I mean, that's just...
Well, let's find insecurity within yourself. Like that's one thing that's huge. And people don't really see the insecurities, but then you walk around and you feel like peaceful. Well, like, I feel good.
Well, think about it this way, right?
I'm not thinking about it.
Think about it this way. It's the difference between working out and eating because you hate the way you look and you hate your body versus working out and eating a certain way because you love your body. And I don't mean you love your body in the sense that you look in the mirror and say, I look fantastic. Because there is a difference between body image and self-image. I can look in the mirror and say, you know what? I want to look a little different because I've been eating a little poorly and I'm a little overweight or whatever. But I can still love my body. I can still love myself. So if you love yourself, how are you going to work out? Well, you're going to stop treating exercise like a punishment.
Yourself.
You're not going to the gym to punish yourself. Do you know how many people, most people go to the gym and work out because they're beating themselves up because they hate the way they look.
Yeah.
Like they ate shitty. Oh, fuck, tomorrow I'm going to the gym. I'll beat myself up because I just ate this freaking burrito or whatever. And, you know, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to starve myself or I'm going to eat this way because I look like shit or I don't like the way I look. That's a very different, they both can motivate you, but there's a very different end result. One is long lasting, one is fulfilling, one you feel comfortable in your skin, one gives you real wellness. The other one is very it's very surface.
Short-lived.
Very short-lived, and you tend to do things that harm your body. Now, if we break it down even more, if you train to punish yourself, if you hammer yourself to failure when you work out, if you go max intensity, you're not going to get as good results as if you work out smart. If you train your body because you love your body, you nourish your body because you want to train it to take care of this body that you have. The reality is doing it that way is actually going to give you better results anyway, even on the cosmetic. And I say this on the show all the time. nothing looks sexier than healthy. So I don't care how, and it's true, man. It's 100% true. Like, you want to build great big muscles, you want to be super ripped, you want to have a six pack. That's great, but nothing looks sexier than healthy. And there's a difference. I can tell you right now, I can take two people, both lean, one who does it unhealthy, one who does it healthy, and the healthy person is going to look balanced, they're going to look confident, and they're going to look more attractive.
They bring energy and a vibration to
Totally
the place.
different.
It's a whole when you're unapologetically yourself too. That's a big piece of it that I've dug into recently. It's like you are this shape, this thing, and if you pursue health and pursue a healthy lifestyle, and take that seriously in your life, that's gonna reverberate into the rest of your life. And people notice that and they feel that. It's not something you can put your finger on, but it's there. It's present.
Exactly, and it's I've said this to clients, and this happened to me. In fact, is I trained hard and I did things to my body that were not healthy because I wanted to look a certain way. Because I thought once I got to that place, once I looked the way I thought I wanted to look, or that I did want to look, I thought that would make me happy. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I'm going to be happy. Now I'm going to be buffed. I'm going to be muscular or whatever. That's going to make me happy. The reality is my body didn't look that way until I learned to be happy first.
Exactly.
It's not the other way. It wasn't that way. There was the reverse. I had to be happy with myself and really care about myself. And then the results started coming. And that's when my approach to exercise truly changed. For example, when I first started working out, again, it was punishment. It was failure. It was beast mode. I'd go in the gym and I'd lift until I couldn't lift anymore. I would do these body part splits. I would eat 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I was just doing all this crazy. I would take over-the-counter designer steroids, the ones that they used to be able to sell on the internet that you'd take and, get all kinds of, crazy water weight gains and stuff. I would do all these different things. And because I thought that would make me, feel a certain way. Once I started reevaluating things, and part of the impetus for that was my body turned on me. I started having autoimmune issues. I started losing weight. I was getting very sick, and so I was kind of forced to re-examine things. But once I did, then I looked at exercise completely different. And the funny thing is, I started training. I stopped body part split training. Started training full body. I stopped going to failure. I came up with concepts like trigger session concept, and I came up with concepts of phasing my workouts. I cut my protein down because I realized that eating 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight not only didn't give me any better results, but
undulating your calories and food,
harming undulating my calories. I learned how to fast. I looked better than I had ever looked before. And then we developed some of the programs that we sell now, and now we've got thousands of people who are following these programs who are saying the same thing. They're like, man, I've never had gains like I've had before, and I'm not super sore all the time. I'm not beating myself up. I'm not eating 10 chicken breasts a day every single day.
Yes. So we're getting to the season where where a good portion of the country, world, whatever, decides they want to make the change in their life.
Yes.
And so they try to find these quick minute fixes that you guys talk about. They get on these dangerous workout plans, dangerous diet plans, and then they fail because the plan was ridiculous. So how can these people find the right thing? What should they look for to get through the marketing and find the right program for them if they want to make some kind of change? Because everybody's going to have a New Year's resolution for something.
They are. Number one, understand this. Exercise serves merely as the stimulus for your body to adapt. That's all it does. All you're doing is you're sending your body a signal to adapt. Okay? And all the systems of adaptation of the body are very similar. Like if I go out into the sun, that those rays that come from the sun are a signal that tell my skin to get darker. Okay? Now, if I go out and bake the shit out of myself in the sun, it's going to overcome my body's ability to adapt, and I'm going to get a sunburn. Well, the same holds true for exercise. It's another form of it's another stimulus, right? When your body wants to adapt, when you work with your body, it feels good. It is not a crazy grind.
Well, something that I always say too on the show is that our goal is to do as little as possible to elicit the most amount of change.
Viable dose.
Yeah, as little as possible to elicit the most amount of change. So really, I'm always looking for indicators when whatever program or whatever I'm doing as far as my exercise. Which, by the way, something I want to talk about that you guys do that we've always talked about. I love and something we preach about is I hate how there are so many camps. Like you're just a kettlebell guy, or you're just an Indian club guy, you're just a mace guy. Oh, you're a bodybuilder. Oh, you're a mobility specialist. It's like we talk about all of that, and they all have their place. They all are great. And you know what? You may enjoy one of them more than the other. Well, then incorporate that. But really, whatever it is that you're doing, it's not balls to the wall right away. If it's December, and you're thinking about your New Year's resolution is I'm going to get in shape. You've been sitting on the couch eating shit, not moving. What you don't need to do is go sign up for some super intense class, train 7 days a week. Like, that's setting yourself up for failure, because that just means your body's going to adapt to that really quick. And then sure, you might see great results out the gates for the first 4-6 weeks, but after that, boy, you got an uphill battle coming. So learning to do as little as possible to elicit the most amount of change, which if your ass was sitting on the couch all day long, guess what? Just get them fucking walking.
I'm going to
Get
say
up and
something.
walk and move.
I'm going to say something that people probably will think right away. Well, I need a gym partner. No, you don't. You don't need a gym partner. You don't need a spotter.
Yeah.
Well,
I think they do that because they're scared. They think that everybody's
Right.
judging them in the gym. It's like, oh, I have my comfort zone.
Well, because their thought process is I have to go extreme first.
Yeah.
Like you just have to do something, and you have to do it consistently, and you have to, take it step by step. These are all baby steps coming in, even if it's just drinking more water, getting outside, step count, something you can focus on that's very simple and you can integrate into whatever you're already doing. And then you start, slowly progressing and learn more, maybe hire a trainer, do something that's like, schedule wise, like this is going to be consistent for me and I'm going to stick to this.
Well, think about it this way. Like, if you work with your body will change and it will feel, and I hate to say this because people are, there's going to be a lot of fitness people like, no, it's so hard. No, it feels almost effortless because you're working with your body. Again, if you send the right signals, your body will change. If I send the wrong signals, my body's going to adapt to those wrong signals. So I'll give you another example. If, like Adam says, you're somebody who's not active and you decide, I want to get in shape real quick and I'm going to go hammer myself. My body's getting the signal that it's under ridiculous amounts of stress. Its number one and only priority becomes recovery, not adaptation. Your body's just going to recover, and you get stuck in this recovery, the breakdown recovery trap where I go to the gym, I get super sore. I'm not sore anymore. I go back to the gym and I get super sore. I'm not sore anymore and I get myself super sore. And yet my body's not changing. It's not adapting. I'm just breaking shit down, letting it recover and breaking shit down. Recovery is not the same as adaptation. When you exercise properly, because your question was, how do you know, right? When you exercise properly, you should feel good. You should leave the gym not feeling
charged.
You should not feel like you can't move. You shouldn't be crawling out of the gym. You shouldn't feel like you almost threw up. You should leave and feel good. Like, man, I feel really good, man. I feel fantastic.
Like you're ready to go tomorrow.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the whole process it works that way. One of the number one things we battle with in the fitness industry among fitness professionals is metabolic damage. These are people who train super hard, diet super hard, to the point where their metabolisms have slowed
Shuts down, says F you, man.
have slowed down. Their hormone profile goes to shit. Now, just to maintain their body weight, they have to eat just 1,000 calories a day. They have to work out, do tons of cardio all the time, just to maintain how they look. And they're still fighting their body. And then eventually their body really rejects what they're doing. And then they get sick or injured. It doesn't have to happen that way. In fact, if you take the right approach, you'll feel good the entire time. Your body will change the entire time. You'll get there faster. It's not like you're doing a trade-off. It's not like I'm going to get less results because I'm doing it this way. You'll get more results by doing it this way. And that's the thing. So if you go and you start a new workout and you leave that workout and you could barely move and you can't walk for 2 days afterwards, it was too much. It was the wrong workout. You should feel good right away. A workout should make you feel good right away, not 6 months later. It's not this crazy pain thing.
I always like to give people something they can take away, they can start applying and doing right now. And I'll tell you, when I first start with any client, the very first thing I do, so and you can use whatever app. The app I use with my clients is Fat Secret. I find it's a very user-friendly tool. It's free. You can download it if you have an iPhone or Droid. And I tell them, I say, listen, this is what I want you to do. Don't impress me just because your trainer's looking at your stuff. Just track. Just implement everything that you're consuming and take it and look at it for the week, and let's pay attention. And information is so easy to find. You can Google like how much protein or carbs or fat your body should be having, the RDA for almost anything. Like the information is actually really easy to find for free. So once you have figured out, okay, this is where I'm at, now I'm going to give myself real subtle goals. Or when I'm training them, I give them the goals. Normally an easy one right out the gates, almost everybody is way over consuming sugar, just because
Yeah.
the food industry has literally poisoned all of our food with all different types of sugar alcohols, and artificial sweeteners and shit in all of our stuff. So that's the first thing I normally look at and kind of make them aware of that, of like, how much sugar does your body really need, and then how much of it are you consuming on a regular basis? Let's make this adjustment. Okay, maybe you're down on way under on protein, and we figure that out. So we'll just two subtle things like that. We're not going to reduce a bunch of calories. You're not going to all of a sudden be boiling chicken breasts and no season. No, we're just going to fix one or two little things like that, and then let's pay attention to how your body responds to that. I'm a big fan also of like your wearable tools, like your Fitbits and your Body Bugs and Apple Watch. Now, I mean, there's a lot of them that are out there. So like a good wearable tool that you have to track like just your steps. The average American steps anywhere between 2,500 to 4,000 steps. You know how little that is? Do you know if right now, if the five of us walked outside right now and decided to take a 1 hour stroll, we would step more than that? The average American steps less than that in their entire fucking day. So if you're one of those people, figure that out. Figure out where you're averaging, and then give yourself a very subtle goal. If you're doing 4,000 steps a day, guess what? Going 6,000, that's a 50% almost increase right there. That's a big difference. Yeah. That shit will add up. You do that, and you just change the food. That's right away. Your body will start to adapt and change in the right direction. And then we start diving a little bit deeper and start getting in the nutrition a little bit more, and we start manipulating some other things. And maybe now we add into a gym 3 days a week, or at home and do an at-home program. But even when you start to do that, it's don't go find Insanity this or the most intense workout you could possibly find to get you there.
The first step is being aware, and I mean that's really the important part with all these tools that we have, is to really use them properly, just to get that self-awareness, get the biofeedback, learn from it. Like I know what I do like consistently pattern-wise throughout my week. I can see that, and then you could just make these little micro adjustments and stick with that, and man, it makes a massive impact. But you have to know exactly what you're doing, and a lot of people don't take the time to really assess that. So those tools are great for that.
I challenge even fitness professionals and stuff like that, because I remember, man, when the first tool that ever came out that was actually pretty accurate was Body Media's Body Bug in 2002 or 2004 when it first came out. And it was a big old ugly thing we had to wear on our arm and stuff. But it was 92 to 94% accurate to your body's metabolism. So, as a trainer, it gave me a really good idea of like my expenditure. And we never had anything like that before. Before that, most things were like 50, 60% accurate, which that's pretty far off. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Let me start tracking and paying attention to this. And I was blown away. And part of why I was so excited about this was because a good half of my career as a trainer, I could never get to that elite level of fitness, magazine cover looking. And I wanted it. I mean, I would be lying. I wanted to look like that. I wanted to look like a cover of a magazine. I had the education. I worked my ass off in the gym. And if I had a cheat day or ate off, it didn't eat good. It was on the weekend watching football here and there. But for the most part, I was dialed. Why couldn't I get that next level of fitness? And when I started tracking and paying attention to that, I was blown away that, okay, Monday through Friday, dialed, eating perfect, carrying my meals to work, doing all that stuff, training super hard. And then on Saturday, sure, I still hit the gym. My step count, my movement was maybe about 50% or so what it was during the week. Then Sunday, especially football season, football Sunday, I might only step 1,000, 2,000 steps. And if I was going to have some pizza or a beer, that would be the day. So my surplus was like 2,000-3,000 calories plus on that one day alone compared to everything else. So that one day was enough to just kind of keep me where I was. Now I was fit, I was in good shape, but I couldn't get to the next level. And that was like that aha moment as a trainer for me, like, wow, if that threw me off just that one little day like that, how many of your clients are just unaware of their movement, unaware of their activity throughout the day, and then helping them be aware of that and realize that, no, bro, that is not a good time for you to be eating that shit. You haven't done anything all day. Your body doesn't need any fuel right now. And not only are you giving it fuel, you're giving it way more than you need and then not doing anything with it.
One of the craziest things about just human behavior in general is our ability to recognize patterns, right? Like the only reason we can have this conversation is because we recognize patterns in these like mouth sounds we make, right? That's a conversation. Writing is a pattern, right? It's just letters in an order that we have agreed to understand. Right. But one of the hardest things for people to do, and this blows my mind all the time, that it doesn't make any sense almost, is that we can't see the patterns in our own life. right? You're unaware of that. When you go to track food, it's like, oh, I eat 7 Krispy Kreme donuts a week at work. Like they had no idea. They're like, I thought I had one. If I like, if you were to ask them like, how many Krispy Kremes do you eat a week? They're like, oh, maybe 1 or 2. I don't know. It's like, no, you're knocking down a dozen, homie.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, I think the reason I think that is because I honestly think that we want to be unaware of those things. I don't think we want to be aware. In fact, I've had clients where they'll start to track and they'll start to find these things out, and then they'll stop because they don't want to change that behavior. They'd rather not be aware. It's like that. It's like anything you do that's bad for yourself.
Ignorance is bliss, man.
Yeah, all the horrible things, all the horrible things that you may do for
Wanna
yourself
eat the
that aren't
steak.
good for your body or your soul or your mind, we tend to make them unaware because who wants to sit there and be aware, for example, that they're in a shitty marriage or relationship? Like nobody wants to sit there and go, "Oh my God, I've been married for this many years and it sucks every fucking day." Instead, you put that in the back of your mind and you don't even think about it. And then, one day when you leave or whatever, and you look back and you go, "Oh my God, it sucked for a long time." Same thing with nutrition, same thing with drug abuse, alcohol abuse, shitty friends you may have. Like, I think becoming aware can solve so many of our problems if we're willing to become aware. Because really being objective, and I challenge you. If you're listening right now, I challenge you. Really look at yourself and your life objectively. That includes nutrition, exercise, but that includes
So
everything.
hard.
so difficult.
hard.
It's the hardest thing ever.
There's a lot of stuff.
Especially listening to some knucklehead like you. They probably heard you the first time. And who the fuck is this guy telling me to? I'm cool. I'm good. I'm good.
No,
I got abs.
I got
What'll-
mirrors. I know what I look like.
Yeah, what'll happen is you'll actually look at things, and there's gonna be a lot of things that you may not like, and that's hard. That's hard to deal with because now you have to kind of destroy this persona or this shell that you've created. It's a very, very difficult thing. It's one of the best ways to do it is if you're in an argument with someone. That's one of the best things you can do, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
When you're getting in an argument with someone, especially if it's your girlfriend or your wife or your husband or whatever, and they're trying to make a point and you totally think you're right, stop for a second, maybe after the fight's over or whatever, stop for a second and say, okay, I'm going to put myself in their shoes and be just as objective as possible and try to understand what they were saying. And sometimes you're like, fuck, they were right. Like I was
the
being
asshole.
the asshole.
Yeah.
You
Damn
know? The same thing with nutrition and exercise. Like people they just don't want to be aware because once you become aware, now the ball's in your court.
Well, then but here's the part that where I blame the fitness industry is that some people have made that step or they're willing to make that step, but then the information that they're getting fed on how to fix it is so far
It
off.
shoots them right back to
Yeah,
awareness.
and that's the
Yeah.
part that drives us
What's the
crazy.
frustrating part for
They're
us?
they're trying so hard, but you Google like how to get fit. It's just, when you get, it's just
Exactly.
bullshit,
All the
right?
the people that have paid the most money
littered
to
with
get
dog
popped
shit.
up there, which
Yeah.
is not always the best information
Exactly,
whatsoever, is getting populated. So that's why we're all so passionate about what we do because we're trying to be that voice, and we speak so highly of On It because you guys, I feel like, I know Aubrey speaks a lot to self-awareness and things like that, which we're all huge on that. I mean, we're big about just helping people become aware, but then the next step after that is learning how to vet your sources too, and what is good information and what are you being fed, and be able to disseminate whether this is just great marketing or this is really good information.
Dude, I'll never forget.
Marketing versus information. I like that.
It must have been maybe 7 years ago or so, 8 years ago, 7 years ago. Up until then, I had always done body part split training, right? So I'd always done chest on one day, back on another day, shoulders on a day, lift to failure, 12 to 15 sets per body part, typical bodybuilding style workout. And I was online and I found this website. I can't remember the name of it. I wish I could remember because I want to plug them. But it was a website dedicated to old-timey strongmen. So these were all the guys who lifted weights and lifted heavy things.
I think it was called old timey.
It might be.
It was like old timey.
And this was before
Old-timey
steroids,
strength or
before
something.
protein powders, before anything, right? And if you look at their workouts, and these guys, by the way, impressive, especially when you consider they didn't take any steroids. Like these were all natural guys. And you're looking at their feats of strength, like a bench press with like 200 something pounds with one arm, and you're looking at their bodies, you're like, man, these guys look amazing and they were super strong. Then you look at their routines and I'm like, Jesus, like none of them did a body part split. It was almost all full body workouts. Then you read what they would write, because some of them wrote books, and you read these books and they're hilarious to read because they were the way they would write them. But you'd read in them and all of them said, don't train to exhaustion, which was their way of saying, don't lift to failure. So I was like, God, this is crazy. I'm going to try this out. So at that moment, I took my body part split and I took my whole body and I trained it 3 days a week. The quote unquote basic workout that you're supposed to do when you first start lifting weights. And I stopped lifting to failure. I started getting stronger at rates I hadn't seen since I was a kid. my muscles developing. I was getting leaner, and at that moment, I realized, holy shit, like, a lot of this information that we're getting is just, it's given to us and it's sold to us by companies that are kind of full of shit and promoted by genetic freaks on anabolic steroids who will respond to something completely different from me.
Yeah.
It was earth shattering for me. And then I started developing programs based on that.
Well, going back to, I always love when we do podcasts like this. I'm all about, free information and helping people as much as we possibly can. And, to help the audience listening right now, like, talking about what workout or program to start, there's some basic movements that everybody should be doing. You should be squatting, you should be deadlifting, you should be overhead pressing, and you should be bench pressing. Now, there's going to be some people that have limitations because they can't because of an injury or this, but your goal is to get there. So, one, if you can do it physically because you don't have any limitations, you should be doing those movements. Two, if you can't get there, your goal should be finding a way to get there through mobility, through exercise and stretching and working on the imbalances so eventually you can, because those movements are like the biggest bang for your buck as far as what they do for your central nervous system, what they do for overall muscle building, fat burning, like connecting your entire, because that's how we were meant to move that way. We had this, and I don't remember what year, Sal probably remembers this better than I do as far as when machines came on. When did we start sitting in these little ice machines and doing these isolated exercises? We're trying to focus on one little area to develop it. And that's another thing we talk a lot about. It's like, you got guys that I'd see my peers, in the bodybuilding world that would be doing I'd see them do 8 different exercises and all these different machines trying to work on their biceps. I'm like, if you just go do 20 pull-ups, you would get all of that.
Full range of motion.
And
You can't do a full range of motion pull-up.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do a full range of motion pull-up, but you can do a, hammer strength, preacher curl machine, the whole stack, cool. But, it's like you'll get so much more,
ability to wipe their ass.
so much more for your body by doing these big compound movements. So and they're definitely challenging. So I know a lot of people are afraid of it, and that's part of the problem is we see machines which were really built for rehabilitation. So you see these machines and you feel safe because you can look on the side of them and there's a picture of the guy or the girl with the part that you're supposed to be feeling it at, and you're like, okay, I'm doing this right because I feel it there where it's red. But in reality, you should be trying to get to these movements like I said, like the deadlift, like the squat, like the overhead press, these big gross motor movements that have huge bang for the buck, learning how to do those and get good at it. Because I'll tell you right now, I remember when I first started doing them, you're not good. And it's you feel a little intimidated. You walk in the gym and
develop the skill.
Yeah, you don't want to feel insecure. Or
but
you
I
feel
can leg press 600 pounds and then put
look
a 35 pounds.
Look at that. I mean, we talk about that all the time. It's this is where I get with fitness is it's really just, it's kind of your life under a microscope, right? If you can handle yourself in a situation where you feel a little bit insecure because you don't know how to squat properly, but you're in a situation you're essentially the weakest person in the room. If you can overcome that mentally, emotionally, and physically, you're going to take that into the rest of your life.
Huge growth.
And that's to me, that's where the point where hard training comes into play. Maybe that's I don't necessarily beat myself into the dirt like I used to, but there was a point of that where it's there was a place in that when I was playing football and these different things where I took that kind of mindset away and then dialed it back a little bit and took it into my normal life. But it's okay, that last maybe I'm doing something for 20 minutes or I'm on an assault, maybe let's just say a 1 minute assault bike sprint, right? That's a good training piece, but you can always kind of no one knows what that monitor says besides you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just nobody knows the work you're doing in your life besides you. So if you can finish that fully and all the way and make sure that you have 10 seconds left and you don't have to jump on that next movement, but you do just because you're going to take those kind of principles into your life. And the same thing with anything about success. I mean, because those people's success isn't defined by training, right? It's defined by their work or how they interact with their peers or their kids or their families. The training piece is really you can almost create awareness around what you do in the rest of your life by what you do in the gym.
100%. I always say how you do anything is how you do everything.
That's my favorite mantra, man.
That's right. How you do anything is how you do everything, and I love that you said that because it really is true. So that being said, I take a lot of pride on doing things that I'm not good at in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and I think that's the opposite of how I used to think. I used to go to the gym and I wanted to perform all the movements and
beat
shit.
everybody.
Yeah, that I was good at. That's what you want to do. Because I can do all this. No, that my body's become fully adapted to that. I'm getting minimal results now for that. It's so I can do that in my sleep now. I'm so good at. So the things that are going to give you the best bang for your buck are the things that you have a hard time with that are challenging the body. Challenge yourself that way. And like you said, the carryover into not only the results you get, but then into real world, real life. I absolutely love that philosophy.
Yeah. And with that, I think that's a great place to end it. So thanks, guys, for coming by. But, before we take off here, let's tell everybody where they can find Mind Pump Media and get more information and all the workouts and stuff that you guys promote and the programs that you offer.
Excellent. Our podcast is Mind Pump. You can find us on iTunes. Our website is Mind Pump Media. That's where you can find more information about our programs, all of our MAPS programs. We have some guides that we sell on there as well. And you can find us on Instagram, Mind Pump Radio, and YouTube. We've got some YouTube. We post one YouTube video a day explaining and breaking down exercises and exercise theory. It's MPTV, Mind Pump TV.
Mind Pump Sal, Mind Pump Adam, Mind Pump Justin. Those are all our Instagram
keep
handles.
it simple. Yeah.
Trying to drop knowledge and information as much as we possibly can out there.
Thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming by, guys.
It's been fun, man.
Let's go get in the gym. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Adam, Justin, Sal, Connor, thanks a lot very much. And everybody, please check out onnit.com for your health and fitness and supplemental needs. We got everything you need. All right, guys, till next time, thank you. Take it easy. Later.